I walked into that fancy restaurant, expecting a quiet dinner with my daughter. Instead, I found my billionaire ex-husband about to propose to another woman. What I said next changed everything. Because some secrets are too dangerous to stay buried forever. Before we dive into this story, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next, and drop a comment below. Have you ever had to reveal a painful truth to protect someone? Let's get into it. You know that feeling when your whole world shifts in a single moment, when everything you thought you knew gets turned upside down. That's exactly what happened to me last Tuesday night, and I'm still processing it all. My name is Alina, and I'm 35 years old. I've been divorced from my ex-husband Derek for 3 years now, and honestly, I thought I was done with all the drama that came with being married to a billionaire. Boy, was I wrong. It started as such an innocent evening. I had promised my 8-year-old daughter Raven that we'd go to her favorite restaurant downtown. You know, one of those fancy places with the cloth napkins and waiters who speak in whispers. Raven had been doing so well in school, and I wanted to celebrate her getting an A on her math test. As a single mom, these little moments mean everything to me. We were sitting at our table, and Raven was excitedly telling me about her day at school when I saw him. Derek, my ex-husband, sitting across the restaurant in a secluded corner booth, and he wasn't alone. The woman sitting across from him looked so young, so innocent. She had long blonde hair and was wearing this beautiful white dress that probably cost more than my rent. She was laughing at something Derek said, and I could see that familiar charm he used to use on me. The same smile, the same way of leaning in close, making her feel like she was the only person in the world. But what really caught my attention was what Derek was doing with his hands. He kept fidgeting with something in his jacket pocket, and then I saw it, a small velvet box. The realization hit me like a truck. He was about to propose to this girl, and that's when it all came flooding back. The memories I had tried so hard to bury, the pain I had worked so hard to heal from. This girl sitting across from Derek looked exactly like I did when I was 22 years old. The same age I was when Derek swept me off my feet with his money, his charm, and his promises. I tried to focus on my daughter, tried to push down the sick feeling in my stomach. Raven was still chattering away about her friends, completely oblivious to the drama unfolding across the restaurant. But I couldn't take my eyes off them. I watched as Derek pulled out that little box, watched as he got down on one knee, right there in front of everyone. The entire restaurant went quiet. People were pulling out their phones, taking pictures and videos. This girl, Jessica, I heard him call her, had her hands over her mouth in shock. And Derek, he had that same confident smile he always wore when he thought he was getting exactly what he wanted. But then something inside me just snapped. Maybe it was seeing how young she was. Maybe it was remembering all the pain Derek had caused me and Raven over the years. Or maybe it was just knowing that this poor girl had no idea what she was getting herself into. "Mama, where are you going?" Raven asked as I stood up from our table. "Stay right here, baby. Mama needs to have a quick conversation with someone." I walked across that restaurant on shaking legs, my heart pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. Derek was still on one knee when I reached their table. "Derek," I said, my voice surprisingly steady, "we need to talk, now." The look on his face when he saw me, I'll never forget it. It was pure panic mixed with rage. He slowly stood up, still holding that ring box, and I could see his jaw clenching the way it always did when he was about to lose his temper. "Alina," he said through gritted teeth, "what are you doing here?" Jessica was looking back and forth between us, confusion written all over her face. "Derek, who is this?" "I'm his ex-wife," I said, before Derek could answer. "And honey, there are some things about this man that you need to know before you say yes to that ring." Derek's face turned red. "Alina, this is not the time or place." "Actually," I interrupted, "this is exactly the time and place, because this girl deserves to know the truth about who she's about to marry." Jessica was still sitting there in shock, but I could see something changing in her expression. The fairy tale moment was starting to crack, and reality was seeping in. "Derek," Jessica said slowly, "you told me you were only married once, and that it ended amicably. You said your ex-wife was understanding about the divorce." I actually laughed at that. I couldn't help it. Understanding. Honey, let me tell you about understanding. Understanding is when your husband cheats on you with multiple women throughout your entire marriage. Understanding is when he controls every penny you spend and monitors every phone call you make. Understanding is when he abandons his own daughter and hasn't paid a dime in child support for 3 years. The color drained from Jessica's face. Child support. Derek, you told me you didn't have any children. Derek was scrambling now. I could see it. Jessica, don't listen to her. She's bitter about the divorce. She's trying to sabotage. Sabotage? I turned to face him fully. Derek, you want to talk about sabotage? Let's talk about how you sabotaged our daughter's relationship with her father. Let's talk about how you promised Raven you'd take her to Disneyland for her birthday and then disappeared for 6 months. Let's talk about how you told me I was worthless, that no one would ever love me the way you did, that I should be grateful for the scraps of attention you gave me. Jessica was standing now, and I could see tears forming in her eyes. Is this true, Derek? Derek was trying to maintain his composure, but I could see him falling apart. Jessica, every divorce gets messy. She's exaggerating. Am I exaggerating about the bruises? I asked quietly. Jessica, look at me. Really look at me. Do I look like a woman who would make up stories about abuse? The restaurant had gone completely silent. Even the waiters had stopped moving. Everyone was watching this drama unfold. Jessica sat back down, and I could see her hands shaking. Derek, you hit her? It wasn't like that, Derek said quickly. It was complicated. It was simple, I said. He hit me multiple times. He would apologize afterward, bring me flowers, promise it would never happen again. And like a fool, I believed him. Every single time. I looked at Jessica, this beautiful young woman who reminded me so much of myself at that age. Honey, how long have you been dating Derek? 2 years, she whispered. And in those 2 years, has he ever made you feel like you need his permission for things? Has he ever gone through your phone? Has he ever made comments about your friends or family that made you feel like maybe you should see them less? Jessica's eyes went wide, and I knew I had hit the mark. Has he ever gotten angry, I mean really angry, over small things? Things that didn't seem to matter, and then made you feel like it was your fault for upsetting him? Jessica nodded slowly, and I could see the realization dawning on her face. Jessica, Derek said, his voice taking on that pleading tone I remembered so well. Don't let her poison your mind against me. What we have is special. It's different. That's exactly what he told me, I said sadly. Word for word, Jessica, you are not different. You are not special to him. You are just young and beautiful and naive enough to believe his lies, just like I was. Raven had gotten up from our table and was standing beside me now, holding my hand. This brave little girl looked up at her father and said something that broke my heart and made me proud at the same time. Daddy, why did you tell me you were too busy to see me, but you're not too busy to get married again? Derek looked down at his daughter, this beautiful, innocent child who had done nothing wrong except be born to parents who couldn't make their marriage work. And you know what he said? Nothing. He said absolutely nothing. Jessica was crying now, tears streaming down her face. She took the ring box from Derek's hand and set it on the table. I can't do this, she whispered. I'm sorry, Derek, but I can't marry someone who would abandon their own child. Jessica, wait. Derek reached for her, but she stepped back. No, Derek, I need time to think. I need to process all of this. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Thank you. Thank you for telling me the truth. And then she walked out of that restaurant, leaving Derek standing there with his mouth open, holding that expensive ring. Derek turned to me, and for a moment, I saw the real man behind all that wealth and charm. I saw the angry, controlling, abusive man I had been married to for 10 years. You just ruined the best thing that ever happened to me, he hissed. No, I said calmly, picking up my daughter. I just saved that girl from making the biggest mistake of her life, just like I wish someone had saved me. As we walked out of that restaurant, Raven looked up at me and asked, Mama, why was Daddy so mean to you? I thought about how to answer that. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that sometimes people who are supposed to love us hurt us instead? How do you explain that her father is not the hero she thought he was? Sometimes, baby, I said carefully, grown-ups make bad choices that hurt other people, and sometimes we have to speak up to protect people from getting hurt. Like you protected that lady tonight. Yes, baby, like I protected Jessica tonight. The next few days were a whirlwind. Derek called me over and over, threatening legal action, threatening to take Raven away from me, threatening to ruin my life. But I wasn't the scared 22-year-old girl he had married anymore. I was a 35-year-old woman who had survived his abuse and come out stronger. Jessica reached out to me through social media a few days later. She thanked me again and told me she had done some research on Derek after that night. Turns out I wasn't his first wife. There had been another woman before me, another young girl he had married and divorced. She had tried to warn people about Derek's true nature, but no one had believed her because of his money and reputation. Jessica also told me something that made my blood run cold. She had been trying to get pregnant. Derek had been pressuring her to have a baby, telling her it would bring them closer together. The same thing he had done to me when our marriage started falling apart. I realized that night at the restaurant wasn't just about stopping a proposal. It was about breaking a cycle. Derek had a pattern of finding young, vulnerable women, marrying them, controlling them, abusing them, and then moving on to the next victim when they got too old or too strong to manipulate. But not this time. This time, someone spoke up. This time, someone told the truth. 3 months later, I heard through mutual friends that Derek had moved to another city. Word was getting around about what had happened at the restaurant, and his reputation was starting to suffer. Turns out, when you're known for abusing women, even being a billionaire can't completely protect you from the consequences. Jessica sent me a message last week. She's in therapy now, working through the trauma of realizing she was in an abusive relationship. She's also started a support group for women who have been manipulated by wealthy, powerful men. She asked if I would come speak to the group, share my story, help other women recognize the warning signs. And you know what? I said yes. Because that night at the restaurant taught me something important. It taught me that sometimes the hardest thing to do is also the most necessary thing to do. It taught me that speaking up can save lives, even when it costs you something personally. Most importantly, it taught me that I'm not just surviving anymore, I'm thriving, and I'm using my voice to make sure other women don't go through what I went through. Raven asks me sometimes if I'm sad that Daddy moved away. I tell her the truth, that I'm sad she doesn't have the father she deserves, but I'm not sad that we're free from someone who hurt us. My daughter is growing up seeing her mother stand up for herself and for other women. She's learning that sometimes love means protecting people from harm, even when it's scary or difficult, and that's a lesson worth teaching. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have stayed quiet or spoken up? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, please like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories that matter. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is also the right thing to do.